So ESG has always been an essential part of the investments in Africa. And in fact, even in developed markets, professional investors are always looking carefully at their environmental and social responsibilities as an integral part of their due diligence and of their management of a portfolio company. But what's been changing over the last years is it's becoming more and more explicit. Investors are asking more questions, and investors also start to demand more reporting. So I think what we're seeing is professionalization, institutionalization, and more structured frameworks around ESG. I think the trick to doing sustainability right is to making it an integral part of your strategy and also of your operations. So in the panel, we talked about governance being the foundation actually for value creation in private equity. That's actually even when you look at financial stability in a company, the rigor around capital expenditures and balance sheet management, P&L, tracking the income and the different products of a company and their profitability. So when we look at sustainability, we basically need to apply the same tools. So when you're considering which kind of investments you want to make, to look more broadly than just what is the financial opportunity there, but what are the adjacent impacts that that company does have, might have, and could have on the environment, the physical environment, the ground, the water, the air, but also on the social environment, the employees of the company, the communities in which it's located. So an investor embarking on a new fund strategy needs to think holistically, not only what is the financial opportunity here, but what are the follow-on impacts? What are the risks that's associated with my strategy? And also what are the opportunities that can come out of that? Yeah, so especially when we talk about carbon emissions, I think the concept of the just transition is very important to keep in mind. When you're a relatively low emitter, and when you have a relatively low energy density as a continent, that means you need to build a lot of new capacity. So one of the important opportunities is build the new capacity as much as possible renewable. Of course, you should have a path to reducing the share of emissions from, let's say, fossil fuels. But looking at growth, you can obviously look at the renewable sources of energy. Sort of aside from energy, there's one of the biggest investment opportunities and challenges in the continent is about agribusiness. And in agriculture, there's actually a huge opportunity both to increase the production, but also to do that in a sustainable way. There's also opportunities for carbon capture in soil or retaining carbon that's in soil. And one of the things that I've been looking at FMO over the past few years is the forestry opportunity. And Africa, these certain countries have a very good climate for growing trees. Trees, as we know, is one of the best sources of capturing carbon from the atmosphere. And the other side of that is preventing deforestation. So we talked last year on a panel about the Congo River Basin. Protecting the lungs of the planet was the name of the panel. So besides the Amazon, the Congo River Basin, actually the second largest natural forest system in the world. And so looking at how we can protect those existing carbon sinks is also an important part of the strategy for Africa. The biggest themes in Africa will continue to be the growing population, urbanization, growing middle class, youth and the need for employment among young people, and I think increasing gender equality throughout the different industries. So I think a lot of investors are looking at opportunities which are taking advantage of a growing population, actually a population with increasing disposable income, even if it's still small on a relative basis, and providing goods and services affordably to really address the needs of that population, which is also a financial and economic opportunity that companies are seeing. So I think fintechs, payment providers will continue to be very important targets. I think you will see energy continuously going from very large sort of utility scale provision to smaller ones that are maybe at the level of a company or even community. And I think so those two things, sort of the inclusive developments, inclusive investments, and addressing a very large and growing population. So the two most important themes.